Welcome all to the New Dream Podcast. I'm Sarah Grady, and as Bryce Savage's song states, I'm a Pisces with no fake love here. My soul felt deeply called to create the New Dream movement of unconditional love and support for all, so here we are. Whether you're here for the stories, engaging authentic conversations, to discover new tools to create change in your life, or just the unconditional love and support that's felt, know that you are beyond welcomed. Take what fits for you, leave the rest, because life is yours to live and your heart will know the way. Let's get started creating our new dreams. Hello and welcome. Today we have the beautiful Dana. She is a freedom mindset coach, living a truly spectacular journey, and I cannot wait to dive deep into how you got to where you are right now. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that grand welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So right now you are traveling and living out of a suitcase. So I need to hear more about that.
Yeah, literally, I am always on the go. I never know where I'm going to be in like a few weeks' time. It is as I just decide on the spot. So yeah, it's great because I'm always going into the unknown, and I'm kind of like I've adapted to that over the last 13 months, which at the beginning seemed like the scariest thing, but now it's exciting. I'm excited that I don't know where I'm going to be.
Oh my gosh. I cannot relate, but also how exciting would that be? But so scary. So do you travel alone? Is it just you?
Yeah, just me solo traveling for the last 13 months.
Oh my gosh.
It's been an incredible like growth journey as well, because it's something I wanted to do for a long time. And I did some of traveling in between university in the summer. I was just like, oh, I need to escape. I was like, oh, I wish I could do this full time, but never thought it could be my reality until now. Like I'm living it and I still have to like pinch myself, like it's actually happening.
Gosh, that is so inspiring. So you said you've always wanted to be a traveler. What were you doing beforehand? So where did you come from?
Where did I come from? Oh, it's been a long journey.
Right.
Start from a very beginning.
Well,
Oh God.
that's true. That was a little open-ended, but it's just I feel like when we're kids, we dream of that, what is it that we're going to do when we're older? And we have these big grand visions, and then there's always something that kind of we get stuck in until we discover what it is that we truly want to step into. And that doesn't happen until years and years and years of lost time, learning all these other lessons first. So when you first became an adult, stepping on into the world, the great unknown, what did you find yourself doing?
So I've done so many different things. That's the thing. I've always just immersed myself into new experiences. And I think that's why it kind of came like naturally to me to keep wanting to do that.
Okay.
Because growing up, my life was very like oppressed, repressed, whatever call it, and it was very sheltered. So I didn't get to do traveling. I didn't get to do much, and all I knew was just my immediate environment. And I wanted to know the world, and I always craved freedom because of that. So that's where my highest value of freedom came into play. And I was like, I just want to be free and travel and do this, but we could never afford it and things like that. So when I graduated university in 2019, it was kind of like, oh, okay, adulthood now, 9 to 5. And so I tried that and I was like, this is not for me.
I love it.
I was like, why you just go into an office 5 days a week and that's all you see? And that kind of reminded me of my sheltered life that I already had, which I tried to escape. And then I'm back in that space. I actually just realized that as I'm telling you that now. That's probably why. That's like a big aha moment for me right now. And yeah, so I'm like working 9 to 5, going from a job to a job again, and pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like this big aspiration of working in central London. So I had just moved to nearby town to kind of get a marketing job, like corporate world, and it all just went down crumbling as it did for a lot of us, right?
Right.
And that would kind of like caused me to rethink my life and what it is that I actually wanted to do. And I was just unemployed for like 5 months, and here I am back home again, and it's always like starting again. And it's like, this time I want to start again, but actually start with on purpose, like with an actual decision on what I want from my life rather than just survival mode, which I have found myself in most of my life. And so that required a new level of courage. And so for 2 years, I was trying to find myself and who I was and like what I wanted to do in life, because clearly everything else wasn't working out. And it was like just going from one job to another, thinking I'm going to find some kind of fulfillment, and I just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really when I had my dark night of the soul, as they call it.
Yeah.
I was super depressed. Like from an outsider's perspective, I had it all. Like I had a house, I had a partner, a beautiful cat, a car, a stable job, right?
Right.
But I was so unhappy. I was like, this is it. People told me, this is it. This is your ultimate, like, everyone wants this. I'm like, well, I don't want it. Why do I feel so miserable, right? And I would cry myself to sleep every night, every single night. And like, it's like my light was just like completely dulled.
Yep.
Like that fire, the flame that I always had inside of me was just gone. And I couldn't find it. And it was like to a point where I was super depressed. Like, I mean, suicidal depressed. But again, don't want to go too much into that.
Right.
But there was something inside of me that said, like, you need to find strength. You need to find it. And it was like a lion when it like finally roars. I'm a Leo star sign, so I use that terminology.
Oh, I love that.
It's like that big roar, I'm fighting back. And actually, it was like, do you know what? I am going to go after something that I may not believe I'm capable of right now, but I'm going to try at least. And that's when I kind of like found coaching, and it was like in alignment with everything I enjoyed doing. Like I loved self-development for years and years. I've always like been seeking for answers and seeking for more and speaking to people and connecting and listening to people's stories and just helping them guide them through anything they were suffering with.
Right.
And so, yeah, and I just signed up for coach training. It was very random. I didn't even know what a life coach was, to be honest, at that point. And it was also for selfish reasons, because at the time I didn't want to sign up for therapy. I was like, I needed something to help
Yep.
me. And then stepping into that space, I discovered that there was so many people like me. And my whole life I felt so alone, and like I found my tribe. And it was like finally I started to align with the things that I wanted to do in life. And that kind of led me to that realization that freedom is my core value. So what else does that mean? And travel was a big part of that. And so once I finished my coach training, I was like, do you know what? I'm doing this. I am just going in. I'm going to be the light that I want to see in the world, even though it was scary. It was so scary. And I was coaching clients at the time, and I'm like, yeah, you need to do this. You need to live in alignment. And I wasn't doing that for myself. So I was like, right, I better do that now. And it was crazy how it all happened, because people thought I was going mental. I handed in my notice in my 9 to 5, right? It all happened in like within like a week or two. I'm not even joking. Handed in my notice. I managed to get a part-time job for my coaching academy, right? That was the only job I applied for, because I thought this is going to give me the freedom. And whether I get it or not, I was not attached, but I was already acting as if I had it. So this is where like I was realizing the power of like manifesting.
Right.
And again, that was just incredible. And so, yeah, so I kind of like accepted the offer, handed in my notice, bought a one-way ticket to Asia, Southeast Asia. I had never traveled to Southeast Asia in my life. Sold everything I owned, packed it into a suitcase. It was left my partner, the house, everything, just left everything behind. And I was like, maybe it was an escape at the time, but at least I was escaping towards
Right.
something, So it was like running away, but also running towards that happiness, that dream I had. And yeah, so found myself traveling and discovering myself and learning about myself and growing so much in the past year. So it's been an exciting journey. Sorry, that was a bit long, but
No, it's so inspiring because really like a lot of people would look at that as almost like an escape. Like I'm just gonna get rid of all of this and I'm gonna run. But it really was like you were running to yourself. You were trying to find who you are because you were everyone else and everyone else's dream and everyone else's idea of what you should be. So you were just like, shed all that, we're done. Like,
yeah,
how
exactly.
inspiring.
Thank you. So yeah, and that's when I started to find myself like aligning with my values. So like the coaching, I realized that was my purpose. And because I had this
Right.
purpose and I still do, it's like this burning desire to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I had to help myself, and that's how I helped myself. And that was very healing. And that's when like I took my power back.
Yep.
It's so easy to blame my external circumstances for the life I was living, but I knew I had to take responsibility. And now, like, that's how I live my life, just being intentional about what I do and how I choose to spend my time. So, yeah, it's very
Right.
empowering.
Oh, I love that. So do you, when you decide to like move from a place, like how long do you stay in one place? Do you just wait for the energy to tell you or?
I'm a slow traveler just because I do have a massive suitcase.
Okay.
Um, Usually I would stay at least a month, sometimes even 2 months. It really depends on the place, on the season, and if I get bored or not. Because I
Okay.
find that I get really bored easier than like, well, why am I here? I could literally go anywhere. So yeah, at the moment I'm in Montenegro and I've been here a week now, and I'm here until November, and then I might go to Bali over the winter season. That might actually be 6 months. So I'm not sure yet. Again, I will get that feeling.
Oh, just living in the moment. Like how exciting, but also like so scary if you haven't done, like if you are afraid of the unknown. So like I can imagine this has had you definitely step into like further growth. Like you don't have any ability to not grow at this point. Like you were like, we're doing this.
Yeah. No, exactly. And it's not that I don't feel fear. Like, of course I
Right.
do. I'm like the most fearful person. I've had anxiety my whole life.
Right.
But it's realizing that that fear is most of the time it's not real. It's just programmed fear.
Yep.
And I'm someone that wants to challenge things and challenge myself and
Yep.
just break out of the norm. That's always been like my thing. Like pick a path that's less traveled, whether it is to stand out, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just I am doing it because it's so empowering, and I've seen how much growth there is on the other side of fear. But yeah, even just doing that one thing and committing before even you actually take that action, make that action step, but committing to something like that in itself is very empowering, and you do grow in that moment as well. But yeah, most
Right.
people they just stay stuck in that paralysis and they don't take that step, but then they're losing out because something more beautiful could have come out of that.
Absolutely. It's bringing up the in the kids movies, like, and especially like the thing I like to tell my kids is yes, we're all afraid. We all experience fear, but you be courageous in those moments because you still have the fear. You just don't let it stop you. You push through. So I keep looking at you and like hearing your story and hearing all these things, and I'm seeing like the big word courageous in my brain. Like you're just so courageous, and it's so inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm still you know, there's so many things that I need to push past to get to where I need to be. But I know that I have evidence, you know, to
Yeah.
use that I've been able to do it in the past. So I'll be able to overcome whatever. And we all do, right?
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
always opportunities in the past, looking back, that we've had to take out of, you know, courage. We had to be courageous. It's just we
Yep.
forget about them sometimes, even if they seem so insignificant. But you can use that
Yep.
to your advantage as well. You can use those times and just kind of remind yourself when you need to tap into that courage again. But thank you for recognizing that.
Absolutely. I know it wouldn't be for everyone to like just pack a suitcase and go, but at the same time, like you're experiencing and doing exactly what so many people don't do because they are stuck in that survival mentality of, well, I can't make these choices. But you are literally a pure example of you get to create your life. Like you get to choose how you live it. It doesn't matter what your outside people tell you. It doesn't matter what the voices around you are saying. You live for you and you get to make those choices on what feels right. And so like how you felt before with how you're feeling right now, like do you regret anything? Like would you still make all the same choices like with where you're going?
100%. Honestly, my life has improved in so many ways. Like I said, I still need to pinch myself.
Right.
I'm literally living the dream. I may not be where I want to be exactly, but I'm enjoying the process, which is something I have never done before.
Right.
Usually I focused on the outcome. When I have this, then I'll be happy. But I'm
Yep.
genuinely like just enjoying being present and taking day as it comes. You know, every day is like different. As you can imagine, when you're traveling, you just don't know what
Right.
to expect. So I do not regret anything. Yeah, it was the scariest thing, and I lived in the survival mode my whole life. So
Mhm.
of course it was scary, but had I
Right.
not jumped, I can see how my life would have turned out, and if there would have been a life, you know, like that. That sounds really crazy, maybe, and I just watching other people being in that same kind of trapped in that cycle like makes me really sad, because it's like I want to pick you up and I want to tell you there is better, but you need to believe that. You need to find that belief inside of you, even if you haven't seen it. Believe it to see it. I always say that. Believe it to see it, and then you will.
Right. Oh, so good. So you mentioned that like everyone around you thought you were nuts, which I totally relate. When you start living authentically and you were not anywhere close to what you were like supposed to be stepping into, it's like shedding all that off. You literally do look like you're going nuts because everything is just thrown off. Like we're done with this. We're new self. We're done. My question is now with, you've been traveling for 13 months, like you've been living your dream now, like you are stepping into your highest authentic self and discovering who you are. How many of those people now are like, oh, like now I see, like they see the beauty in you now?
Yeah, they're very supportive. I mean, my whole family is supportive of it, and people find that quite inspiring. And I think like my immediate circle as well, I
Hmm.
see them having like taken steps towards their dreams. And I do believe it's like, you know, when you are being a light for others, you
Hmm.
encourage them to do something similar for themselves. So I am seeing that around me as well. So it's not just what they say, but it's also what they're doing, even
Right.
if they might not admit to it. But like, you
Yep.
know, they find encourage as well. It's rubbing off.
Yep.
So I'm feeling that.
It's such a true example of like once we start doing the work for us, it's like magic. It's the domino effect. You heal yourself to heal the people around you, and it's so true.
Yeah, be the role model for others. That's
Yep.
really it. You know, my whole life I've spent telling people what to do, but that's because I should have listened to my own advice and I wasn't listening, right?
Yep.
Now there is none of that judgment. It's like, well, I'm doing this. You can either choose to do it or not. You know, it's like up to
Right.
you where you want to go. And usually that is much stronger energetically anyway. So
Right. So true. It's so much easier though when you're in that survival mode to just tell people what to do, even though we're the ones that need that advice and like we're the ones that need to start making changes. It's just it is a lot easier just to tell people, well, you should do this, even though I'm not doing that because it's hard and scary. But really
Yeah,
you need courage. You need the love for yourself to be able to push forward and find your joy alongside being who you're meant to be.
exactly. It's just tapping into that heart space, right? Rather than
Mhm.
just switch off that mind's chatter, because mind is only keeping you safe. It's just trying to keep you safe from anything that's new and could potentially harm you. But again,
Right.
you can't be harmed just by making a decision like that, to either go
Right.
traveling. Many people are doing it. So, and again, because we have so much evidence that it's possible and so many people are doing it, it's so much easier nowadays to borrow that belief, even if you like don't believe that yourself.
Yep. It's very true. Now, was there like an influential like person who like one person that like sticks in your memory like that kind of was helping plant those seeds for you, or was it really just you were looking outside yourself to figure out like what steps to take so the universe sent you like coaches and stuff?
So in ways that I found coaching,
Yeah.
it was really, yeah, there was a girl that I had met like 3 years prior to that at like a shamanic workshop. And
Ooh.
she told me she's a spiritual coach. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but you can explain to me. And she kind of like told me what she does. And I was like, so you get paid to talk to people? And then I kind of like, this is interesting. And I was like, oh, you must have like psychology degree or something, And then like that seed was always there, but I never believed that I could do anything similar to that. Like, who am I to help people? Like, look at me. I'm like a nervous wreck. I can't even talk to people. Like, I was like the shyest kid in school. Like, honestly, I was so
Okay.
quiet. And then I actually met her a few months before I started my coach training, met up with her because I was like, I want to know more. I want to know what you do and how you do it. Just, I am intrigued. Like, honestly, I don't know
Right.
why that's still coming up for me, but I need to know. And so she coached me. I paid her for a coaching session and I was like, this is it. This is great. That's all you need to do. I've got wisdom. I can share. Do you know what I mean? I can help. I can listen. Like, and she told me she's also a witch, a pagan witch, and she intuitive and psychic and whatever. And she told me like, yeah, you're not going to be in the corporate world for too long. This is not in alignment with you at all. Like I can just tell. And I'm like, I know. It's just
Oh,
finding that courage. And so yeah, and it had to get really bad for me to be like enough and roar and like sign up. And then I started seeing like adverts for coach training. hmm, $10 a month. What is this subscription? Check it out. And from then on, I went and jumped on a call for the accreditation and kind of said yes to it. It was the scariest thing. I still remember it was 31st of December 2021. And
okay.
so I jumped on a Zoom call with the salesperson, the owner actually of the coaching academy. And he said, are you in or are you out? Are you going to keep living the way you've been living? Or are you going to make a change? And it was just like, it's the most amount of money I had ever spent on anything in my life.
Right.
And it was just giving that away, it was, I didn't even have that saved. So I had to go on like a payment plan. And I knew I had to find a way to then continue paying for it. So I had to be committed, right?
Right.
But when I did that, because I did that, I was showing up and I
Yep.
was gaining value. And yeah, so I understand the power of that now, like exchanging money for a service, right? Because it wasn't just
Right.
service. That's not the only thing I found there. I found so much that it's like this whole new world opened up to me, virtual world, but it opened up to me, right? And like these
Right.
people who I have been seeking my whole life, feeling like a lone wolf, where I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. you know, having these like shallow conversations with people, and then all these people, they actually self-reflect and are so self-aware, but at the same time are struggling with so many things. And
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I don't feel judged here. I feel like I can be authentically me. So yeah, I think I answered your question, and I
I
went off path here.
I'm so glad you did, because that was exactly what I was kind of looking for. Because what I've noticed is like people like you and I that are like stepping into those unknown spaces and trying to be authentically us. And especially if you grew up shy with no voice, low confidence, like really just being unsure in the world. I've been noticing that there is this almost like a pattern, that there's at least one person or one sort of environment that you step into that almost gives you the permission to say yes to yourself. And it's funny because yours was a spiritual coach and so is mine. Like it was that very first, like, you get to live your life. You have permission to do that. You don't need permission, but for whatever reason, like our programming makes us think that we do. And it's like that first, you get to choose yourself. You get to move forward and you get to say yes to all these thoughts and feelings and emotions that are rising up in you. And that first safe space, that first person led you to then be able to be in that space with that coaching program and say hell yes to yourself, even though you were scared as hell, I'm sure. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a couple of, so it was that person, but it was also the partner I was living with at the time. He was very like encouraging and saying, you know, you have to follow your heart, even
right.
if it means we are going to go our separate ways. And like that to me was like,
Oh,
wow, I found this like safety and like someone who
yeah.
actually cares about my well-being. So he supported me throughout like that period and helped me
Oh,
with my pain and everything. So it was like, so yeah, that was kind of like all of
beautiful.
that combined, and it kind of like, yeah, it led me
Oh,
to where I am. I'm very grateful to both of these people.
oh, that gratitude. I love that message. Like, find the people that are truly supporting you for you,
Yeah.
and find it where it is. It's not everybody. Not everyone is going to understand, but find the few that can help you show up for yourself to continue pushing forward until you have the strength to say, now I got this. Like, I love that. You don't know, like I've got these chills.
That's the thing. Like we're always where we need to be, right? And we always meet
Right,
these people for a reason. And we're never off path, even if we feel like we are.
right,
Eventually, we will navigate back to where we're supposed to be. But I can
right,
clearly see like how I got to where I am just from like the very beginning. What we were talking about, you know, being shy and anxious, and then but wanting to step into my power because my voice was suppressed. So I want to speak up, you
right,
know, because I wasn't allowed to be authentically me and I had to be someone I'm not. So
right,
that therefore now, like, nah, I'm rebelling. I am me. So did you see like that? All of that felt just so aligned with the coaching space. And yeah, so again, it's not just I'm not limited to coaching. Speaking is my biggest dream. Like coaching, I just saw as like a stepping stone. When I was
yep.
at university, I used to watch TED Talks and I just fell in love with TED Talks. I was like, I want to be doing a TED Talk one day. I was like, but I'm so scared to give a 5 minute presentation. So I get literally so anxious every time. And so like, how am I ever gonna get to that, you know? But like now, finally, that dream seems to be coming so much closer than ever before, just because I'm allowing it to,
Right,
because I am allowing myself to feel the fear and still be courageous and still do these things and just various things. And also that aligned with my personality, right? I
right,
don't believe that we should be stuck to one thing for the rest of our lives. I believe because we're always evolving and changing, we kind of can have multi-dimensional beings, as they say, but we can have multiple interests and various income streams, right?
right.
So yeah, it's kind of like how I'm finding myself. I'm writing a book as well at the moment, and we'll be creating content online. So yeah, it's all like there's so many possibilities.
Oh, I thank you so much for hopping on here and sharing a bit about your journey. Like, it's so inspiring. Like, going from the corporate world, trying the 9 to 5, feeling boxed in, and just like, this is not what life is supposed to be like for me, for you. Like, but that is the dream. That is the dream. We're as we grow up, we're told like you're supposed to get the job, have this predictable routine and schedule and have a partner and raise a family and like do all these things in this order. But that really isn't what's meant for everybody. And you are just a true testament that you get to change it. It's never too
You,
late.
I agree. You get to
And
choose, right? You get to
right.
choose. Like we were talking about choices, you
Yep.
get to choose your path. And that is so empowering when you realize that you do get to choose, when
Yes.
you don't have to listen to what your parents are telling you to become, to do what society's telling you. All you need to do is just, sometimes it's okay to escape from that environment so that you can reassess whether it is what you want to do or is that voice actually coming from someone else.
Right.
So
Oh, you are gonna help so many people just by being you. Like, this message is so beautiful, and the intention of putting it out there is it's gonna reach the ones who are meant to see and hear this story of validation for themselves, that they get to create their reality. They get to choose their journey. And if it means selling everything and packing everything into one suitcase and traveling, like, you go, you got this. Like, you're proof it can be done. And that's just so beautiful.
yeah, yeah. Anyone can do anything they want. Anything. I mean, anything. I was talking about the speaking thing, right? And it's so random. Like I had it on the back burner, just like I had coaching on the back burner for years. Then I had this on the back burner, and you could not even see me do a live stream like 2 months ago. Like honestly, you would not find me doing that at all. Like,
Yep.
you might think, oh, she's courageous by doing this, but then why is she not doing that? But actually, like it's a different, you're always going to have to overcome something, right? It doesn't
Right.
matter how courageous you might be in certain areas, you might still find yourself struggle with like entering certain spaces, right?
Right.
And for me, like this speaking the universe works so much in my favor all the time. I do believe that, and I feel so connected. And it literally left no choice for me but to speak at like an event in person, and it was kind of like I had to say yes to it. Had I said no, it was like I've learned my lesson when I say no to things. Had
Yeah.
I said no, like honestly, me and you would not be having this conversation right now at all, at
Oh,
all.
oh my gosh, I love that. So what, you got invited to an event?
Yeah, it was so random. I was traveling
Okay.
again. Through traveling, you meet people, you network, right? This is
Right.
another beauty of that. So if you are an entrepreneur, this is the best way to do it because when you are in one place, it's harder to get these opportunities, right? But for me,
Right.
it was actually I was staying in an Airbnb and I had a host in Macedonia, and there was a bit of like a miscommunication because at the time I was just looking for some volunteering opportunities on behalf of my coaching academy.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I work with lots of charities and nonprofit organizations. And then like, oh, I can arrange something for you. I was like, okay, okay, cool. And then like a week later, I get a phone call saying, so there is this social club, and they would like for you to host a workshop or speak. And I'm like, why? But I was like, do you thought about it? Do you know what? Why not? Because I'm in a new country. I don't know people here. If it doesn't go well, this is my opportunity to trial and error. I believe
Right.
this is, because it was a desire already somewhere deep down, I had to say yes. Had it not been aligned with me, I wouldn't have said yes to that opportunity. But anyway, I just said yeah. And so it's like, okay. So tomorrow night we're meeting the owner and we have a chat. Well, I can talk about whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, this is me improvising. This is me going back to university where I had to just, excuse my language, chat shit
Yes.
to get somewhere. So, okay, here I am. And I was like, yeah, okay. In 2 days' time, we need you to fill the space. I'm like, 2 days? I have never given a talk in my life. I have 2 days to what? Prepare? To come up with a topic idea to do. And you know what? In that moment, I have never been so scared in my life. I don't think that me leaving everything behind was as scary as this moment. Honestly, I don't
Yeah.
think anything came to close to that. And 2 days, I was just praying, praying that the universe can help me with this. And I had to really tap into trust,
Right.
trusting myself, trusting the universe that this is going to work out. And I had to choose the biggest topic. And I don't know why I chose it, overcoming fear and embracing the unknown as I had to overcome that fear on stage, right?
Right.
So that was like, oh my God. So now like that's extra pressure on me. And yeah, so I'm here in another country giving a talk and I had to have a translator and everything. So I had to pause in between and oh, but I got through it. I had slides. It was organized. It was inspiring. I had people come up to me afterwards. It was honestly the best time, like evening of my life, I think. Just the euphoria, just the growth from that single event that occurred. And after that, I've just been
Oh,
keeping momentum and it was just incredible. So yeah, that's my piece of inspiration here for anyone who has ever thought about doing something for a long time, but they've kind of put it aside and didn't. Yeah, there's no need to worry. It is all going to work out in the end. One way or another, it's going to work out.
right. Oh, that is so inspiring. It's so funny that you chose that topic because like all I could kept like the intuitive message I kept getting was the best way to learn something is to teach it. So so you totally just hopped up there and said, "All right, let's do this."
But I was a good, like, at least I wasn't modeling like Tony Robbins, right?
Right.
Tony Robbins, it feels like he's like this human being who is so like separate, not separate, but how do you say, like, sometimes it feels like it's not achievable because
Right.
he's got this confidence, of course, but I'm not Tony Robbins.
Right.
But people resonate with people more who are literally going through that journey. All you need to
Yeah.
be is one step ahead and have some knowledge. And I had a lot of knowledge around it, just and wisdom. So I
Mm-hmm.
could tap into that from the year before when I went traveling to
Right.
help me with that and share that and inspire others. And it was, yeah, I found myself very inspired from that talk.
My gosh. So you're inspiring yourself through inspiring others, and it's just such a true testament of what we do.
I love it. I love the journey. Like I said, I love the journey. And since I've done a few live streams and doing the podcast with you now as well. So
Right.
yeah, it's still growth, there's still a lot of growth in there. But thank you
Absolutely.
so much for providing this space for me to share my story as well.
Absolutely. This is my joy, getting to hear these stories. And that's where I get my inspiration and the reminder that I'm doing what I need to do for me. And it's all beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I get to meet people that just do crazy, awesome shit. And I'm like, how cool is this? Like, we all get to live this life. And it's that reminder. Like, it really is just enjoying the journey. And the shit will hit the fan eventually. Like it's you're not going to get away from that, but we can take what we learn from it, move forward, and just enjoy the process.
Yeah, take it as it comes. Like that's my advice to your listeners, is like you can't predict the outcome and you shouldn't dwell on it either. Because what if it does work out?
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, you will deal with that in that moment. You know, there are so many possibilities that could happen, might happen, but you don't have to worry about them just yet. Just live your life and be present, be in the moment.
Mm. It's funny you intuitively knew the next question I was going to ask, because that was what I was going to ask you.
We're on the same wavelength here,
We
Sarah,
really
aren't
are.
we?
We so are. Like, this was just such a beautiful conversation, and I think we both needed that today. So I do have one final question before we say our goodbyes.
Okay.
So the name of my podcast, obviously, is the New Dream Podcast. So my question to you is, when you hear the phrase the new dream, what does that make you think of or consider?
It definitely makes me think of creating that, like creating a dream that you can solidify in your life. Like actually tapping into your identity and your values and creating from there. And that is like, what is your new dream? What is like your next thing that you're going to live in your physical reality?
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all these beautiful messages and just such an inspiring and courageous and beautiful story. I can't wait to see where this journey takes you, and get I have a feeling you'll come back on and we're going to hear about all the talks that you've been giving.
Why not? Let's have a
Yep.
podcast on overcoming fear.
Yep. Like, you're going
Talk
to come
about
back
that
and
for
be like,
hours.
so remember that time that we talked and I was afraid of all these talks? Yeah, we got that in the bag.
You'll see me on a TED Talk next, I'm sure.
I love it so much. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey and just sharing these beautiful messages with our listeners, and myself included. You are a true light and a true beauty to this world.
That is my mission. My mission is to inspire people around me, one dream at a time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The new dream movement commences.
But thank you so much. And yeah, it's been so
Yeah.
lovely connecting. And again, we connected for a reason. So
Absolutely.
your listeners obviously need that as well, need those messages. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And that's why we do what we do. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Got those pretty eyes that are one in a million. She looks like the sun.